Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at a really fundamental shift in the landscape of artificial intelligence. We're moving way beyond the daily hype of AI chatbots, past those endless debates over parameter counts and benchmark scores, and we're looking directly at the structural requirements for true artificial general intelligence. To do this, we're diving into a fascinating overview of DeepMind's CEO Demis Hassabis' future AGI agenda. More importantly, we're going to explore how a framework known as the energetic paradigm, or EP, provides the critical control layer needed to actually build it. It's a calm, analytical look at what comes next.
So here's our roadmap for the Explainer. We'll be systematically walking through beyond better answers, the Einstein test, memory consolidation, causal world models, governing complex simulation, and finally, disciplined intelligence.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1. Beyond better answers, the baseline problem in AI. You know, for the past couple of years, the AI industry has been completely locked in a race based almost entirely on raw computational power. We're talking larger models, longer context windows, cheaper API calls, slightly higher coding benchmarks. But the source material makes a vital distinction here. Ordinary model scaling is hitting a utility plateau. The next frontier of AGI is absolutely not about just building a larger answering machine. It's about building a system that generates the right structural questions, preserves useful experience over time, maps genuine physical causality, and runs complex simulations safely. And doing all of that requires an incredibly stable control architecture.
Our executive brief brilliantly illustrates this by mapping 4 DeepMind bottlenecks directly to EP contributions. Now, it's really important to note that EP is not presented as a competitor to DeepMind's models. Instead, it acts as the governing layer. It's the architecture that takes that raw, massive computational capability and actually converts it into disciplined intelligence.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Einstein test, moving from execution to discovery. Hassabis puts forward this incredibly demanding standard called the Einstein test. Imagine training an AI on literally all human knowledge up to the year 1901. The test is, could it independently produce the conceptual leap that Einstein made in 1905 with special relativity? It's a profound question, right? Breakthroughs in science don't come from just summarizing existing facts or answering a beautifully stated problem. They come from locating a hidden conflict between existing principles and completely reformulating the frame. AGI simply has to be able to do this.
So, why does current AI fail at this kind of true question generation? Well, it's because ordinary models see linguistic patterns, not structural pressure. To find the controlling contradiction of a system, we have to ask structural questions. Where is the gradient? What exactly is being conserved? What barrier is blocking movement? What feedback loop reproduces the result? And what constraint cannot be violated without collapse? This is exactly how you locate the actual energy of a problem.
The crucial point here is that EP steps in to turn question generation from what is essentially a decorative brainstorming exercise into a highly disciplined structural process. EP actually forces the system to identify pressure points, expose hidden constraints, and spot unstable assumptions where existing explanations start to leak. It targets the hidden control points of a system, generating hypotheses that actually matter.
Let's move to Section 3, Memory Consolidation, Controlled Learning Over Time.
Now, we really need to draw a stark contrast here. The AI industry is currently obsessed with long context, ingesting a million tokens all at once. But long context really just means the model is reading a massive file temporarily, keeping all the noise right along with the signal. Consolidated memory, on the other hand, means the system inherently knows what to keep, how to compress it, what to gracefully forget, and how to update its internal structure for future behavior, all without catastrophic forgetting. It's the difference between rereading the whole world every single day and actually learning.
What's really fascinating about this breakdown is how EP solves this exact memory problem by ensuring memory isn't just some messy pile of historical facts. Instead, it's an architecture organized purely by control-relevant functions. It rigorously tracks sources, sinks, constraints, failure modes, interventions, and unresolved tensions. Because honestly, what deserves to be remembered isn't every single turn of a chat, it's what changed the system's control map. That's how you filter out the noise and preserve the essential structure.
Section 4, Causal World Models Grounding Intelligence in Physics.
We hear so much buzz lately about AI video generation. But let's be clear, predicting plausible visual patterns based on massive datasets is not a real-world model. A true causal world model doesn't just know what a scene visually looks like, it understands why a bridge collapses, why a surface slips, why a container leaks, or why a specific material bends. It fundamentally understands gravity, friction, and structural load. It moves us from statistical continuation to genuine causal simulation.
EP is naturally perfectly suited for this because it provides the essential vocabulary for this causal grounding. Under EP, a physical scene isn't treated as just a set of visual pixels, it is a dynamic field of interacting forces. It meticulously maps gradients, barriers, supports, losses, and state transitions. Think about it. A bridge fails when load exceeds structure and energy finds a new path. By treating physical reality this way, EP gives AI the actual operating logic needed to understand cause and effect.
Moving right along to Section 5, Governing Complex Simulation, Virtual Cells, Economics, and Policy. Simulation is going to be incredibly powerful across domains like biology, materials, and economics. But it's also incredibly dangerous if the AI hides its assumptions and just produces precise-looking nonsense. This is precisely where EP adds a rigorous governance layer. Before any simulated action is taken, EP requires the system to expose its boundary conditions, clearly state its assumptions, map its internal feedback loops, establish clear failure modes, and define strict confidence limits. It forces the ultimate question: what must be true for this prediction to hold?
And that leads us to our final section, Section 6, Disciplined Intelligence, the Energetic Paradigm Architecture.
Let's pull this all together. EP is not just a prompting style. It is a full, comprehensive reasoning architecture designed to manage systems operating under incredibly complex constraints. We're talking everything from deductive framing and constraint mapping to memory governance, causal grounding, and simulation discipline. It guarantees that when the AI inevitably encounters an unknown, it has a highly structured protocol for verification, escalation, and accountable action.
The source document distills all of this into a single, incredibly powerful formula. Capability becomes intelligence only when it is routed through constraint, memory, verification, and consequence. It's that simple. Raw power without control just produces drift, but power routed through this EP formula, that produces an intelligence that is safe, inspectable, and profoundly useful.
DeepMind and Demis Hassabis are showing us exactly what AGI needs to do. It needs to discover, remember, understand, and simulate. But the energetic paradigm provides the control discipline. It provides the how, the structure, to make absolutely sure those massive capabilities are actually anchored to reality.
As we transition from using AI as a casual assistant to actually relying on it as foundational decision infrastructure for medicine, economics, and policy, the stakes literally couldn't be higher. Power is expanding rapidly. The question we have to ask ourselves is, Hassabis' vision points toward AI that can discover, remember, understand, and simulate. How will you discipline capability into reliable intelligence? Take some time to really reflect on that, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.